The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with hundreds of different voices. Ambassador Krelthin walked slowly to the center platform, his 6 legs clicking against the crystal floor. His dark eyes scanned the crowd of aliens sitting in their floating chairs. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others looked like walking trees. A few glowed with their own light. Krelthin held up a data pad. The room grew quiet. "Fellow council members," he began, his voice deep and rough. "I bring urgent news about a new species we found. They call themselves humans. Their planet is called Earth. A blue-skinned alien with 4 arms laughed. Another primitive species? How many ships do they have? 10? 20? That is not the problem," Krelthin said. His voice was serious. "The problem is what they are capable of." He pressed a button on his data pad. A large screen showed images of Earth. Green and blue colors swirled together. Cities with tall buildings covered parts of the land. Ships moved across blue oceans. "They look normal," said an alien covered in silver scales. "What makes them special?" Krelthin's hands shook slightly as he changed the image. Now the screen showed something different. Humans in green uniforms ran through mud and smoke. They carried metal weapons and wore hard hats. Their faces were dirty and tired, but their eyes burned with determination. "We watched them fight each other," Krelthin explained. "For thousands of years they have been at war. Not just small fights. Massive wars that killed millions of their own kind." "So they are violent," said a tall alien with crystal skin. "Many species are violent before they join the council." "No, you do not understand," Krelthin's voice grew louder. "They do not just fight. They learn from every battle. They make new weapons during wars. They change their tactics every day. They never give up even when they are losing." The screen changed again. It showed human cities that had been destroyed, then rebuilt bigger than before. It showed humans making metal birds that could fly faster than sound. It showed them splitting tiny pieces of matter to create explosions that could destroy entire cities. "In just 100 years, they went from riding animals to flying between planets," Krelthin said. "They created weapons that could destroy their entire world, and they almost used them several times." Elder Thane of the Zenith Alliance leaned forward. His old face looked worried. "What are you trying to tell us, Ambassador?" "I am telling you that these humans are different from every species we have met," Krelthin replied. "They adapt faster than anyone. They turn every tool into a weapon. They work together when threatened, even if they hate each other normally." He pressed another button. The screen showed a human military base. Soldiers in green uniforms practiced with weapons. Their leader was a man with short black hair and serious eyes. The text below read, "Captain Han Wu, Human Defense Strategy, Division. This one," Krelthin pointed to the screen, "has written battle plans that our best military minds cannot understand. He thinks about war in ways we have never seen." A red alien with tentacles for a mouth made bubbling sounds. "You are being dramatic. They are just another primitive species. We have handled hundreds of them. Have you seen their history?" Krelthin's voice rose. "They fought wars on every part of their planet. They created flying machines to drop bombs on their enemies. They built metal ships that could travel underwater to attack in secret. They made poison gas to kill thousands at once." The crystal-skinned alien waved a hand. "Old history. We can control them easily." Krelthin showed another image. A woman with long black hair stood in a white coat, looking through a microscope. Next to her was a man in a blue uniform covered with badges and medals. The text read, "Dr. Kim Sora, Xenobiology Research, and Commander Park Day, Human Defense Fleet. These humans are preparing for contact with other species," Krelthin said. "They already have plans for war with aliens they have never met. They assume we will be enemies." "Because they are paranoid primitives," laughed the blue alien. "No," Krelthin slammed his fist on the platform. "Because they understand that in the galaxy the strong survive and the weak become slaves. They have seen this pattern on their own world for millions of years." He showed more images. Human factories that never stopped working. Human schools where children learned to solve problems by thinking of new ways. Human laboratories where scientists mixed different technologies together. They do not just use tools, he explained. They improve every tool they touch. They take ideas from different places and combine them into something new. Give them our technology, and within days they will make it better. Elder Thane stood up slowly. What do you suggest we do? Leave them alone, Krelton said firmly. Do not try to conquer them. Do not try to control them. If we are wise, we will offer them friendship and respect. If we are fools, we will try to treat them like all the other species we have conquered. The hall filled with angry voices. Many aliens shouted at once. Impossible! We are the Galactic Council. No primitive species can threaten us. The Trade Federation representative, a fat alien covered in golden jewelry, stood up. Ambassador Krelton, you forget who we are. We have conquered over 200 species. We have weapons that can destroy stars. What can these humans do against us? Krelton looked around the room. He saw fear in some faces, but anger in most. They will surprise you, and when they do, it will be too late. The council voted that day. Most members ignored Krelton's warning. They decided to treat humans like every other primitive species they had found. They would send ships to Earth. They would demand surrender. They would add humans to their empire. Only Elder Thane and a few others voted against the plan. But their voices were too few. As the meeting ended, Krelton gathered his papers. He felt sad and worried. He had seen the human military files. He had watched their war movies. He had studied their history books. The humans had a saying, "If you want peace, prepare for war." The Galactic Council was about to learn what that meant. In 6 months, the Trade Federation would send their collection fleet to Earth. They expected an easy victory. They thought humans would surrender quickly, like all the other species. Krelton knew better. He had seen Captain Han Wu's tactical reports. He had read Dr. Kim Sora's research on alien psychology. He had watched Commander Park Day training human pilots for space combat. The humans were already preparing for war with an enemy they had never seen, and that, Krelton thought, was the most terrifying thing of all. 6 months after the council meeting, Trade Admiral Zephyric stood on the bridge of his flagship. Through the large windows, he could see 50 other ships in his fleet. Each ship was twice the size of any building on most planets. Their weapons could turn mountains into dust. How long until we reach the human planet? Zephyric asked his second officer. 2 hours, Admiral, came the reply from a thin alien with purple skin. Should we prepare the standard surrender message? Zephyric nodded. He had done this many times before. The pattern was always the same. His fleet would appear in the sky above a primitive planet. The locals would see his massive ships and panic. Within hours, their leaders would contact him, begging for mercy. He would give them a choice: join the Trade Federation as workers or watch their cities burn. Send the message as soon as we arrive, he ordered. Tell them they have 1 hour to surrender. But Zephyric did not know that humans had been watching the stars for months. Earth's deep space sensors had detected his fleet 3 days ago. Captain Sao. Han Wu sat in the command center of Luna Base, studying the approaching ships on his screens. 50 vessels, reported Lieutenant Choi Maya, a young pilot with sharp eyes. Each one is about 2 kilometers long. Their weapon signatures match. Nothing in our database. Captain Han Wu rubbed his chin. He had been preparing for this moment since the government told him about possible alien contact. Dr. Kim Sora's team had given him detailed reports about how alien empires might behave. The patterns were clear. They would come with overwhelming force and demand surrender. Are our ships ready? Han Wu asked. All Earth defense vessels are in position, replied Commander Park Day through the communication system. We have 120 ships total. Most are converted cargo vessels and mining ships. Han Wu knew his fleet was smaller and weaker than the alien ships. But he also knew something the aliens did not expect. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. They had learned to win battles even when outnumbered. Engineer Li Hyun, what is the status of our special projects? Han Wu asked. A young man with messy hair looked up from his computer. We have successfully integrated the captured alien probe technology into 12 of our ships. The weapon modifications are ready for testing. 3 months ago, the aliens had sent a small probe to study Earth. Human scientists had captured it and taken it apart. Lee Hyun and his team had worked day and night to understand the alien technology. They could not build the same weapons, but they could modify human weapons to work differently. Admiral Song Jun, are the orbital platforms ready? Han Wu continued. An older woman with gray hair appeared on the main screen. All defensive satellites are armed and positioned. We have also placed surprise packages at the locations you requested. Han Wu smiled grimly. The surprise packages were simple but effective. Humans had hidden small ships loaded with explosives at points around Earth. If the alien fleet got too close, these ships would ram into the larger vessels and explode. Incoming transmission from the alien fleet, announced the communication officer. The main screen changed to show Admiral Zephrix. He had 4 arms and skin that looked like silver metal. His voice was cold and commanding. Primitive humans of Earth, he began. I am Trade Admiral Zephrix of the Galactic Trade Federation. Your planet is now under our control. You have 1 hour to surrender your military forces and submit to Federation rule. If you comply, your people will be given work in our empire. If you resist, your cities will be destroyed. The transmission ended. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Well, said Captain Han Wu calmly. I guess we should give them our answer. He pressed a button on his chair. This is Captain Han Wu of the Earth Defense Force. We decline your offer. If you want our planet, you will have to take it. Admiral Zephrix could not believe what he heard. No primitive species had ever refused surrender. Impossible, he muttered. They must not understand the situation. Should we demonstrate our weapons? Asked his second officer. Yes, Zephrix replied. Destroy one of their moons. That will show them our power. The flagship's main weapon charged up. Energy gathered in a massive cannon on the front of the ship. But before it could fire, alarms began ringing throughout the alien fleet. Admiral, shouted the weapon officer. Small ships are approaching from multiple directions. Where did they come from? On Earth, pilot Choi Maya led a squadron of modified fighters. Her ship was originally designed to mine asteroids, but engineer Lee Hyun had attached alien technology to its hull. The weapon systems were crude, but powerful. All pilots, this is Maya, she said into her radio. Remember the plan. Hit them, fast, hit them hard, and get out before they can respond. Her squadron attacked the alien fleet from 6 different directions at once. The human ships were tiny compared to the massive alien vessels, but they moved fast and struck precisely. They targeted weapon systems and engine components, using the technical data Dr. Kim Sora's team had gathered from the captured probe. Admiral Zephrix watched in shock as his fleet took damage from ships that should not have been able to hurt them. How are they penetrating our shields? He demanded. Unknown, Admiral, replied his science officer. Their weapons are using our own technology against us. The battle raged for 3 hours. More human ships joined the fight, including larger vessels commanded by Admiral Song Jun. The aliens had superior technology, but the humans fought smarter. They used tactics the aliens had never seen before. Small human ships would ram into alien vessels and explode, sacrificing themselves to damage important systems. Other human ships would fire at the same target from multiple angles, overwhelming the alien defense screens. When alien ships tried to pursue human fighters, they would fly into asteroid fields where larger ships could not follow. This is impossible. Admiral Zephrix shouted as another of his ships exploded. They are just primitives. But engineer Lee Hyun had done his job well. Every captured piece of alien technology had been studied and understood. Human ships now carried weapons that could disrupt alien shields. Human fighters used alien navigation systems to predict where enemy ships would move. Major Osul coordinated the orbital defense platforms. All stations focus fire on the flagship. Take down their command ship. 20 defense satellites turned their weapons toward Admiral Zephrix's vessel. The combined firepower was enormous. The alien flagship's shields flickered and failed. "Admiral, we must retreat," urged the second officer. "We have lost 37 ships. The humans are too dangerous." Admiral Zephrix could not accept defeat. He had never lost a battle against primitives. But as he watched another of his ships break apart under human attacks, he knew the truth. These humans were different from every other species he had conquered. "All ships, retreat to hyperspace," he ordered reluctantly. As the alien fleet disappeared into the darkness of space, Captain Han Wu allowed himself a small smile. The first battle was over, but he knew this was just the beginning. "Gather all captured alien technology," he ordered. "We need to study everything we can before they come back." Dr. Kim Sora's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, I am already analyzing the alien ship fragments. Their psychology is becoming clearer. They expect easy victories and become confused when faced with real resistance." "Good," Han Wu replied, "because they will definitely be back. And next time they will bring more ships." Unknown to Captain Han Wu, news of the Trade Federation's defeat was already spreading across the galaxy. For the first time in history, a primitive species had defeated a council fleet. Other alien empires were taking notice of the dangerous new species called humans. News of the Trade Federation's defeat traveled fast across the galaxy. On trading stations and diplomatic outposts, aliens gathered around screens showing footage of the battle. They watched human ships, small and crude, destroying vessels that should have been invincible. Dr. Kim Sora stood before a crowd of alien diplomats on Neutral Station 7. She wore a simple blue uniform with the Earth symbol on her shoulder. Her black hair was tied back and her dark eyes were calm but alert. Behind her, a large screen showed the battle footage. "This is what happens when you underestimate humans," she said in clear, simple words. The translation devices around the room buzzed as they changed her speech into different alien languages. A tall alien with green skin and 4 eyes stepped forward. "Dr. Sora, surely this battle was just luck. The Trade Federation was not prepared for resistance." Dr. Sora smiled coldly. "Would you like to test that theory?" She pressed a button on her control device. The screen changed to show new images. Human factories working day and night. Human scientists studying captured alien technology. Human pilots training in simulators that looked exactly like alien ship bridges. "In the 6 months since first contact, we have reverse-engineered 70% of Trade Federation technology," she explained. "Our engineers are now building hybrid weapons that combine human and alien systems. Our tacticians are developing new strategies based on alien psychology profiles." An alien covered in silver fur made clicking sounds with its mouth. "Impossible. It takes decades to understand advanced technology." "For you, perhaps," Dr. Sora replied. "Humans think differently. We do not just copy technology, we improve it. We find new ways to use it. We combine it with our own ideas to create something better." She showed them video of engineer Lee Hyun's workshop. Human technicians were taking apart alien devices and rebuilding them with Earth materials. The new versions were smaller, faster, and more powerful than the originals. "Your people build technology to last forever," Dr. Sora continued. "Our people build technology to evolve. Every human tool becomes the foundation for a better tool." The alien diplomats looked nervous. They had come to this meeting expecting to see a primitive species begging for mercy. Instead, they found humans who seemed confident and dangerous. But one group was not worried. In the back of the room stood 3 figures covered in flowing white robes. They had pale skin that seemed to glow with its own light. Their eyes were completely white, with no pupils. These were members of the Ethereal Collective, a species that controlled minds instead of using weapons. Their leader, High Mind Veltar, stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice seemed to come from inside everyone's head instead of through the air. "Dr. Sora," his mental voice was smooth and confident, "your species may be clever with technology, but you are still primitive minds. We have controlled the thoughts of 1,000 species. Humans will be no different." Dr. Sora's expression did not change. "Would you like to try?" "High Mind." Veltar laughed, a sound like crystal bells ringing. "You invite your own defeat?" Very well. He closed his white eyes and reached out with his mental powers. The other aliens in the room stepped back, knowing what was coming. When an ethereal attacked a mind, the victim usually collapsed within seconds, their thoughts completely under alien control. But Dr. Sora just stood there looking calm. High Mind Veltar's eyes snapped open. His glowing face showed surprise and pain. What? What are you? I am human, Dr. Sora replied simply, and we have been preparing for you too. Behind her, the screen changed again. It showed a laboratory where human scientists worked with strange machines. One of them was scientist Jiang Min, a young man with thick glasses who looked tired but excited. Dr. Jiang Min and his team have been studying psychic energy for months, Dr. Sora explained. We captured some of your probe technology too. We learned about mental attacks and developed defenses. High Mind Veltar tried again, pushing harder with his mental powers. This time pain shot through his own mind like lightning. He staggered backward, holding his head. Our minds are protected, Dr. Sora continued calmly. But more than that, human thoughts can feed back through psychic connections. When you try to control us, you experience our memories. All of them. Including our memories of war, death, and violence. She pressed another button. The screen showed human soldiers in training, but this training was different. They were learning to fight while being attacked by psychic weapons. Their instructor was General Kim Tae, a stern woman with scars on her face. General Kim Tae has developed new combat techniques, Dr. Sora explained. Human soldiers can now fight effectively even under mental attack, and our psychics can strike back. High Mind Veltar's confidence was gone. His voice, now spoken aloud, instead of telepathically, was shaky. This is impossible. No species has ever resisted our mental control. No other species grew up fighting each other for millions of years, Dr. Sora replied. Human minds are built for conflict. We think about war even when we are at peace. We plan for enemies we have never met. We prepare for battles that may never happen. She showed them more footage. Human children playing games that taught tactical thinking. Human artists creating stories about fighting alien invaders. Human philosophers writing about the nature of conflict and survival. Every human is a potential soldier, she said. Every human child grows up learning that the universe is dangerous and only the prepared survive. You cannot control minds that expect to be attacked. The alien diplomats were now openly frightened. If humans could defeat both the Trade Federation's technology and the ethereal collective's mental powers, what could stop them? Dr. Sora sensed their fear. We do not want war, she said, her voice becoming gentler. Humans prefer peace. But we will defend ourselves against any threat, and we learn from every attack. She showed them one final image. It was Dr. Yoon Hana, a woman in a white lab coat working with biological samples. Around her were charts showing different alien physiologies. Dr. Yoon Hana is developing biological countermeasures, Dr. Sora explained. She studies alien biology to find weaknesses, not to attack, but to defend. If any species uses biological weapons against humans, we will be ready with biological defenses. High Mind Veltar and his companions retreated toward the exit. Their mental attack had failed completely, and they had learned something terrifying. Human minds were not just resistant to psychic control, they were toxic to psychic attackers. As the ethereals left the station, they sent urgent messages to their homeworld. The humans were more dangerous than anyone had imagined. They could not be controlled, could not be conquered easily, and worst of all, they turned every attack into a learning experience. Dr. Sora watched the aliens leave the meeting room. Some looked thoughtful, considering peaceful contact with humans. Others looked angry, already planning new attacks. A few looked terrified, understanding that their ancient empires might not be as powerful as they believed. Any other questions? She asked the remaining diplomats. An old alien with wrinkled gray skin raised a shaking hand. Dr. Sora, what do humans want from the galaxy? Dr. Sora smiled, but it was not a cruel smile. We want to live in peace. We want to explore the stars. We want to learn about other species and share our knowledge, but we also want to be left alone to make our own choices. She gathered her papers and prepared to leave. The galaxy is big enough for all of us, but if you try to conquer us, enslave us, or control us, you will learn why humans have survived every disaster our planet could create. As Dr. Sora left the station, emergency messages were already being sent across the galaxy. The Ethereal Collective was calling for a full military response. The Trade Federation was demanding revenge, and other alien empires were watching carefully, trying to decide whether humans were potential allies or threats that needed to be eliminated. None of them realized that their debates and arguments were being monitored by human intelligence agents. Commander Park Day and his team were listening to every alien communication, learning about every species that might pose a threat. The humans were no longer just defending their own planet. They were preparing for a galaxy-wide war. War Commander Thakmor of the Vorthak Empire stood in his war room, studying reports from across the galaxy. His massive frame was covered in battle scars, and his forearms bore the ritual markings of 100 victories. The Vorthak were the galaxy's greatest warriors, and Thakmor was the greatest among them. The Trade Federation was weak, he growled to his officers. They relied too much on technology. The Ethereals were foolish. They believed minds could win wars instead of strength. His second-in-command, battle leader Grix, nodded agreement. The humans defeated merchants and mind readers. Let us see how they fight real warriors. Thakmor activated a hologram showing the human solar system. We will show the galaxy how to deal with these primitives. The Vorthak way. Honor in battle. Strength against strength. Warrior against warrior. For 3 weeks, the Vorthak fleet prepared for war. Their ships were built like fortresses, covered in thick armor and armed with weapons designed for close combat. Vorthak warriors trained constantly, practicing with energy blades and plasma rifles. They followed ancient codes of honor that had made them victorious for thousands of years. But on Earth, Admiral Song Jun was also preparing. She stood in the Strategic Command Center, watching displays that showed Vorthak fleet movements. Her gray hair was pulled back severely, and her eyes held the wisdom of someone who had studied warfare her entire life. Captain Ryu Bin, what is the status of the infiltration teams? She asked. A young man with quick eyes looked up from his computer station. All stealth units are ready, Admiral. We have studied Vorthak ship designs and found weak points. Our teams can penetrate their hulls and plant charges. Admiral Song Jun nodded. Captain Ryu Bin had trained Special Forces soldiers in new techniques. They did not fight like traditional warriors. Instead, they moved like shadows, striking at enemies when they least expected it. Major Osul, are the orbital platforms ready? Admiral Song Jun continued. A woman with short black hair and burn scars on her arms looked up from her weapon systems display. All bombardment satellites are positioned, Admiral. We can target any ship that enters Earth's gravity well. Major Osul commanded the orbital defense network. Her platforms were not designed for fair fights. They were designed to destroy enemy ships quickly and efficiently, using overwhelming firepower from multiple directions. Colonel Nam Ho, what about biological weapons? Admiral Song Jun asked. An older man in a medical uniform stood near a wall, covered with alien anatomy charts. We have completed our analysis of Vorthak physiology, Admiral. Their honor code prevents them from using biological weapons, so they have no defenses against them. If necessary, we can deploy airborne agents that will incapacitate their crews. Colonel Nam Ho was a military doctor who had spent months studying captured alien biological samples. He understood that honor codes could be weaknesses when facing an enemy that did not share those codes. 3 days later, the Vorthak fleet arrived at Earth. War Commander Thakmor sent a formal challenge, as required by ancient tradition. Humans of Earth, his deep voice boomed across all communication frequencies. I am War Commander Thakmor of the Vorthak Empire. You have defeated weak enemies and think yourselves warriors. Face us in honorable combat and learn what true strength means. Admiral Song Jun responded immediately. War Commander Thakmor, we accept your challenge, but we will fight by our rules, not yours. Thakmor laughed. a sound like grinding metal. Rules are for the weak. Come and face us in battle. Ship against ship. Warrior against warrior. As you wish, Admiral Songjun replied. But the battle that followed was unlike anything the Vorthak had ever experienced. Instead of meeting them in direct combat, human ships scattered in all directions. Small vessels that seemed to be fleeing suddenly turned and attacked from behind. Larger ships that appeared to be retreating led Vorthak forces into carefully prepared traps. Captain Rubin led the first stealth attack. His team had hidden inside a damaged cargo ship that the Vorthak thought was debris. When the alien warriors came close to investigate, Ryubin's soldiers burst out and boarded the enemy vessel. The Vorthak expected sword fights and heroic duels. Instead, they found humans who used explosive charges, poison gas, and electronics. Warfare. The human soldiers did not want to prove their courage. They wanted to win quickly and survive. "This is not honorable combat," roared battle leader Grix as his ship shook under human attacks. "Honor is a luxury for species that can afford it," replied Captain Ryubin through the communication system. His team had taken control of the Vorthak ship's bridge in less than 10 minutes. Major Osol coordinated the orbital bombardment from her command center. When Vorthak ships tried to land troops on Earth, they found themselves under fire from 20 different directions at once. The alien warriors were brave and strong, but they could not fight an enemy they could not see. "Target their troop transports," she ordered her gunners. "Do not let them reach the surface." The Vorthak tried to adapt their tactics, but humans had studied their culture for months. Every time the aliens did something predictable, human forces were ready with a counterattack. Colonel Namho watched the battle from his medical station. When Vorthak boarding parties tried to capture human ships, they found the air inside contaminated with biological agents. The alien warriors collapsed within minutes, their bodies unable to process the modified viruses. "Deploy Nerve Agent 7 on decks 4 through 6, he ordered the defense teams. "That should stop their advance." War Commander Thakmor watched, his fleet being destroyed piece by piece. The humans fought like no enemy he had ever faced. They used tricks instead of strength. They attacked from hiding instead of charging bravely into battle. They poisoned the air instead of meeting their enemies with blade and honor. "This is not war," he growled. "This is murder." Admiral Songjun's voice came through his communication system. "War Commander, you came to our system with superior numbers and advanced weapons. You threatened to conquer our world and enslave our people. Did you expect us to make it easy for you?" "We expected honorable combat," Thakmor replied. "Honor is a concept your species invented to make war more sporting," Admiral Songjun said calmly. "Humans do not fight for sport. We fight to survive, and survival requires using every advantage we can find." The battle raged for 6 days. The Vorthak were magnificent warriors, but they were fighting an enemy that did not play by their rules. Human ships used suicide attacks, ramming into alien vessels loaded with explosives. Human soldiers used chemical weapons and electronic warfare. Human commanders used psychological tactics, broadcasting the screams of defeated Vorthak warriors to demoralize their comrades. On the 7th day, War Commander Thakmor found himself surrounded. His flagship was badly damaged, most of his fleet was destroyed, and human ships were closing in from all directions. For the first time in his long military career, he was about to be defeated. "War Commander," came a transmission from Admiral Songjun. "Do you surrender?" Thakmor's pride burned like fire. No Vorthak had ever surrendered in battle. But as he looked around his damaged bridge and saw his dying warriors, he understood something terrible. The humans had not just defeated his fleet. They had captured dozens of Vorthak ships. They had taken prisoner hundreds of his best warriors. And worst of all, they had done it all without losing a single major vessel. "How?" he asked quietly. "You fight for honor and glory," Admiral Songjun replied. "We fight to protect our families and our future. You follow ancient codes of warfare. We invent new ways to win. You are warriors. We are survivors." Thakmor looked at his tactical display. Red symbols showed human ships surrounding his position. Green symbols showed captured Vorthak vessels now under human control. Blue symbol showed Vorthak ships that had been completely destroyed. "I surrender," he said, the words tasting like poison in his mouth. As Vorthak survivors were taken prisoner, emergency messages raced across the galaxy. The warrior caste that had conquered dozens of species had been defeated by humans in less than a week. The primitives from Earth had proven they could defeat not just technology and mental powers, but also the galaxy's greatest military tradition. Admiral Song Jun stood in her command center, watching the final Vorthak ships surrender. Around her, human officers celebrated their victory. But Song Jun felt no joy. She knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy's most powerful empires had now all tasted defeat at human hands. They would not make the same mistakes again. The next attack would be different. Worse. Prepare for the next phase, she ordered her staff. Analyze all captured Vorthak technology. Question all prisoners. Learn everything we can about galactic military capabilities. She paused and looked at the star map showing alien territories. And begin planning offensive operations. If they want a war, we will bring the war to them. The hunters had become the hunted, and the humans were just getting started. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in their history. Representatives from dozens of species filled the Great Hall, but instead of the usual calm discussions, there was panic in the air. 3 major powers had fallen to the humans, and fear spread through the galaxy like a disease. Supreme Chancellor Zixara, leader of the Science Directorate, stood at the center platform. Her crystalline body sparkled with nervous energy as she addressed the crowd. "Fellow beings, we face an unprecedented threat. The humans have proven they can defeat our technology, our mental powers, and our military traditions." Temporal Lord Kethran of the Chronarch Republic raised one of his 6 arms. His ancient face was twisted with concern. "We have seen the future paths. If we do not act now, human expansion will consume the galaxy within 50 years. Abstract Entity Voidhall of the Abstract Collective spoke without using sound, its words appearing directly in everyone's minds. The probability matrices are clear. Humans represent a chaos factor that threatens the established order of reality itself. Chancellor Zixara activated a massive holographic display showing the human solar system. Operation Final Solution. We'll combine our greatest technologies. The Science Directorate will provide quantum manipulation weapons. The Chronarch Republic will supply temporal distortion fields. The Abstract Collective will contribute reality-altering devices. In the audience, the surviving representatives of defeated species nodded grimly. Admiral Zephrix of the Trade Federation, his silver skin now marked with scars, stood to speak. "The humans learn from every battle. They turn our own weapons against us. We must destroy them completely before they grow stronger." Our Mind Veltar of the Ethereal Collective, still recovering from his psychic injuries, added his support. "These creatures are a virus in the galactic mind. They must be eliminated before they spread their chaos to other species." War Commander Thakmor, now a prisoner of war but granted permission to speak, stood slowly. His forearms were bound, but his voice still carried the weight of authority. "You fools still do not understand what you face. The humans do not just fight, they evolve. Every attack makes them stronger." "Silence," Chancellor Zixara commanded. "You had your chance and failed. Now we will show you how civilized species handle primitive threats." But Earth was not sitting idle while the galaxy planned its destruction. Director Park Yan, head of the Unified Human Research Division, stood in the largest laboratory complex ever built. Around her, thousands of scientists and engineers worked day and night studying captured alien technology. "Dr. Kim Sora, what is our intelligence situation?" Director Park Yan asked. Dr. Kim Sora, now Earth's chief alien specialist, looked up from her psychological analysis charts. "We have agents monitoring all major alien communications. The Galactic Alliance is planning something called Operation Final Solution. They believe overwhelming force will succeed where individual attacks failed." Director Park Yan nodded grimly. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and graying hair, but her mind was one of the finest strategic instruments humanity had ever produced. Engineer Lee Hyun, what about our technological preparations? Lee Hyun, now leading a team of 10,000 technicians, wiped sweat from his forehead. We have successfully integrated quantum manipulation technology from the Science Directorate probes. Our hybrid weapons can now affect matter at the subatomic level. Temporal shielding from captured Chronarch devices is being installed on all major ships, and we have created reality anchors based on abstract collective mathematics. How long until the fleet is ready? Director Park Yan asked. 3 weeks for full integration, Lee Hyun replied. But Director, they are bringing technologies we have never seen before. Some of their weapons can change the flow of time itself. Others can make solid matter simply stop existing. Director Park Yan smiled coldly. Then we will have to be more creative than usual. Admiral Lee Dong, the new commander of the expanded human fleet, joined the conversation through holographic communication. His weathered face showed the stress of constant preparation for war. Director, our ship count is now over 2,000 vessels, but intelligence suggests the alien alliance will bring more than 10,000 ships. Numbers are not everything, Admiral, Director Park Yan replied. General Kang Nari, what is the status of our special forces? General Kang Nari appeared on another holographic display. She was a tough woman with battle scars and cold eyes. All infiltration teams are ready. We have studied the psychology of every alien species in the Alliance. We know their weaknesses, their fears, and their breaking points. As the Alien Alliance prepared their massive fleet, human agents were already moving through the galaxy. Captain Ryu Bin led teams that had infiltrated alien supply bases. They did not try to fight the alien forces directly. Instead, they planted computer viruses that would activate during battle, disrupting alien coordination at critical moments. Major Oh Sul worked with space engineers to place hidden weapons throughout the outer solar system. When the alien fleet arrived, they would find that empty space itself had become a weapon. Mines that looked like asteroids, satellites that appeared to be space junk, defense platforms hidden inside artificial comets. Colonel Nam Ho had developed new biological weapons specifically designed for each alien species in the Alliance. He did not want to kill them all. That would be wasteful. Instead, he created agents that would cause temporary paralysis, confusion, or fear. An enemy that could not think clearly was easier to defeat than an enemy that was dead. 6 weeks after the council meeting, the largest military fleet in galactic history arrived at Earth's solar system. Over 12,000 ships from 20 different species moved in perfect formation. Their combined firepower could destroy entire star systems. Supreme Chancellor Zixara commanded the fleet from her flagship, a massive vessel built from living crystal that could manipulate quantum energy. Begin the operation, she ordered. Destroy every human installation, leave nothing alive. But as the alien fleet moved toward Earth, they discovered that space around the human homeworld had become a maze of hidden dangers. Ships that looked like harmless cargo vessels suddenly revealed themselves as heavily armed warships. Asteroids exploded, revealing weapon platforms that had been hidden for months. Impossible, exclaimed Temporal Lord Kethrin as his ships came under attack from directions that should not exist. They have weapons firing from the past and future simultaneously. The humans had indeed learned to use temporal technology, but not the way aliens expected. Instead of trying to change time, they had learned to exist in multiple time streams at once. Human ships could attack from the past while defending in the present while preparing for the future. Abstract entity Voidhall found its reality altering, weapons being countered by human technology that should not have existed. Their mathematics are wrong, it reported in confusion, but they work anyway. Engineer Lee Hyun had discovered something the abstract collective never expected. Humans did not just follow mathematical rules. They broke them, bent them, and made new ones when the old ones did not work. Human reality anchors did not try to maintain perfect order. Instead, they created controlled chaos that was more flexible than alien perfection. The battle that followed was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Alien weapons that could stop time were countered by human devices that existed outside of time. Reality-altering attacks were met by human defenses that refused to accept the new reality. Quantum manipulation was answered by human technology that manipulated the manipulators. Director Park Yeon coordinated the defense from Earth's command center. Around her, displays showed the massive battle raging throughout the solar system. All units remember the plan, she broadcast to human forces. Do not try to match their power. Use their power against them. This was the key to human victory. They did not try to build weapons as advanced as alien technology. Instead, they built weapons that turned alien technology into a weakness. Human ships carried devices that made quantum weapons unstable. Human fighters used temporal echoes to confuse alien targeting systems. Human defensive platforms redirected reality-altering attacks back at their sources. Admiral Lee Dong led the human fleet in a battle that lasted for 12 hours. His ships were outnumbered 6-1, but they had advantages the aliens could not understand. Every human captain had been trained to think independently. When alien commanders tried to predict human tactics, they found that no two human ships fought the same way. All ships begin Phase 2, Admiral Lee Dong ordered. Phase 2 was something no alien species had ever encountered, a coordinated attack by forces that did not coordinate. Human ships scattered across the battlefield, each one following its own tactical plan, but somehow, their individual actions combined into a pattern that overwhelmed alien defenses. The alien alliance discovered that their greatest strength had become their greatest weakness. They were used to fighting as a unified force with perfect coordination. But humans fought as thousands of individual units that somehow worked together without central control. Supreme Chancellor Zixara watched her carefully planned operation falling apart. "How are they doing this?" she demanded. "Their tactics make no sense,"